and welcome to the HollyHood Zoomcast, episode number 10, double digits. Now we're talking about top 5 action movies. I'm your host, Ajman Asante Goodman.
DJ Goodman.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
No order, no organization.
I was going in the order.
It's always.
And the order's on different. This is hilarious.
Introduce yourself. How can you derail the intro?
I don't know, man. I'm sorry. All right, somebody go. I'm just gonna go. There we go.
Yo, what up? I'm Antoine Smallwood here. What up?
What's up? It's Bradley Balboa, man. Did somebody else go?
Anybody go? Yo, I'll go. I'm Greg Good, aka Good, aka the Obscure Sensei.
Oh, let's go. Go ahead, T.
I thought that was all of us. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Jesus.
Okay. I stepped on so many people. I don't even know when my turn is, man. I'm T. Sorry. Let's go.
Did Jason officially go or did he not?
Yeah, now I did.
Word.
Wow. That's how we're doing? Boy, we're bringing it today. I'll tell you.
Jason is so unhappy about this list.
He is so unhappy. So everybody was like top 5 action movies. Somebody hit me up actually on Facebook and was like, yo, what do you mean by top 5 action movies? They were saying like, what do you consist of for an action movie now? To quote a great friend of ours, Antoine Smallwood, actually, he was like, knife work, gun work. I was like, look, just because the locks is on verses doesn't mean we can go into doing stuff like that. Gun work. So,
All kinds of work.
all kinds of work. So the way that I viewed it personally, because I mean, when people start talking about action movies, they can go superheroes, they can start throwing in all that Marvel stuff, they can throw in Batman. We already did stuff on that. So I kept it strictly action myself. So that's what I meant by it. But like I said, perspectives make discussion. So, that's all good. So that's kind of like where we're going from there. Let me just list off some of the ones that were mentioned on Facebook and then we'll get right to it. Matrix and Matrix 2 were mentioned. Die Hard was mentioned. Aliens was mentioned twice. Interesting. Raid, aka Raid Redemption, was mentioned. Ong Bak, Mad Max Fury Road. That was good. Blade, Equilibrium, Slept On, Heat. That's another one. Action Jackson, No Slander, Extraction, John Wick as a series, and then John Wick 1, I believe is what was mentioned. When we just said John Wick, I just interpreted it as one. Commando, Cobra, I told that person that doesn't count, but whatever. Die Hard 2, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, Tears of the Sun, Indiana Jones, the entire series, Predator, Endgame, Seven Samurais, Robocop from the baseline, and again the Alien series. So those are all the ones from Facebook that we got. So who wants to go off first with their honorable mentions?
I'll start off honorable mentions and just point out that the reason why I hate this list is because half of the shit you just named was science fiction, and I had to force myself not to include science fiction on this list.
Here we go.
Because it's a whole other genre to me, but the lines get blurred. But for my honorable mentions, we just doing one at a time?
Yeah, you can just do just like we normally do, man. 1 through 4, whatever you got.
Oh, I'm saying all my honorable mentions in a row?
Yeah.
I missed last week. I'm rusty.
Yeah, all in a row.
All right. So
Stop stalling. Go ahead.
All my honorable mentions in a row. And what I did for this, because like I said, this list was virtually impossible for me because this is like my go-to movie genre. So I just did action franchises, action movie series as my honorable mentions because I couldn't even pick one within the series. So I'm gonna just run down the list. 5 is Bourne Identity, all of them. 4 is the James Bond, but the Pierce Brosnan James Bond, GoldenEye and all that shit.
Huh, okay.
3 is the Rambo franchise. 2, RoboCop. It would have been on my top 5, but it's obviously science fiction. And number 1 honorable mention is the Lethal Weapon series. That's all I got.
Well done. Well, nice.
I'm gonna go because I'm so upset with that. So no, I'm gonna play. So I broke the rules. Okay, I went with 5 honorable mentions this time, and this is why. This is the very top of it. I would not cut Action Jackson out of my honorable mentions. And
Good Lord.
I would not cut Long Kiss Goodnight out of my honorable mentions.
Ooh,
I think that probably no one's gonna mention that, but the Long Kiss Goodnight from an action standpoint, I was like, that cannot go unmentioned. So that's in my honorable mentions. My last 3 honorable mentions are the Terminator, which again is in that realm of sci-fi action, but I mean the original Terminator is the original Terminator. Those who know, you know. So I was able to distinguish when it came to franchises, and I said First Blood, which is fantastic. You know, Blue Lives weren't mattering too much to John Rambo in that movie. It was a wild movie, but you know, what have you. It was a great movie. And the reason why this one is actually my last honorable mention, which is The Matrix, is because of the sci-fi action line. I thought Matrix had to be mentioned because that's just like a all-timer, and it has to be, and like from an action standpoint, you have to mention The Matrix. But I felt like since we're going straight down the line, at least that I was going straight down the line, I had to mention it, but not put it in my top 5. So that's why it's like the highest level of my honorable mentions, which is my 6th man. So that's mine. Who's next?
Hold on, can I say something real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You shouted out Action Jackson. I love that movie. Carl Weathers is one of the GOATs. And
No
I've got
slander.
a little bit of trivia for y'all. In that movie, Action Jackson's first name was Jericho.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave that out there.
yeah.
Okay.
I thought you was gonna say it was your uncle or something like. No, it wasn't. It's my uncle.
Oh shit! Nigga played Carl Weathers.
That'd be other shit.
Uncle Action.
I don't have a whole bunch of honorable mentions, so I'll just run down them real quick. I got people would think it's the only movie I've ever seen in my life, but Big Trouble in Little China. This is the second time I mentioned this movie.
Love it.
The Dark Knight, and I don't know, what is it? The Dark Knight Rises? Is that how they flip the title the next time? You know,
Rises.
when Bane is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Bane, I love that one. Logan, you know what I'm saying? What else? What else I got? And I forgot what that movie is called. With Will Smith is like running around, they trying to like fucking. He's around DC.
I Am Legend.
No, not I Am Legend. It's like he's in
I Am
DC.
Robot.
Oh, Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's an action movie or not, but
Yeah, that's a
think
good
that
one.
qualifies.
That's a real
yeah,
good one.
that's all I got.
Yeah,
Those are good. Those are actually good, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love the Big
I'll
Trouble
go.
references. I love Big Trouble.
We'll continue every time.
I love them. Go ahead, Twan. I'm sorry, man.
Nah. He had a great list. My list breaks all the rules, so I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it out there.
Here we go.
Gasoline. I got Blade 2. I have James Bond Casino Royale. I got Attack the Block with John Boyega. It was an indie joint out of South London where the aliens come to the block and went up. I got Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee. Godzilla versus Kong, and Action Jackson,
Nice.
because I love that movie to this day.
Yes, indeed. You said Godzilla versus Kong too, right?
Yeah, Godzilla versus Kong, yo. They was getting it in.
I didn't see
Straight
that
action.
movie. I did not.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I loved it.
I heard nothing but bad things about it, B. I ain't gonna front.
Hey, if you listen, it was on
Nothing but
HBO Max. It was nothing but two monsters getting together, slugging it out, and then it became like a steel cage match when you get Mech Godzilla in there. Mech Godzilla just kind of fucks everybody up. It's worth the time. It's worth the time. It's great.
I'm about to steal somebody's code and get HBO Max. That's
We're on Facebook Live. This is a family show. I mean,
And so if anybody's out there willing to share the HBO Max numbers, please.
Jesus.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Just give your list. All right.
Fine. All right. This is all like, this is upsetting because literally most of the movies on my honorable mentions are better than the actual movies that I picked. But because of the sci-fi twist on it, I couldn't put them in. Number 1 was Robocop. Robocop, super dope. But, you know, he's a robot, man. Can't do it. 2, Terminator. 3, The Matrix. The original Matrix, the first one. Now, the one that really hurts is Predator. Predator really hurt me. I didn't put it in because there's an alien involved, and it's supposed to be straight up action, and that's just enough sci-fi to get it out of there. Because I would put it in the sci-fi action category, not just straight up action. And the honorable mention of my honorable mentions is Taken.
I like that.
Right.
And the reason it didn't make it into the top 5 is because I can't stand the daughter on the movie. I can't stand her. That's pretty much it.
If you wrote that movie, it would have ended after they took her.
With the same title.
She's still taking.
I put that movie, it would have been Taken, and he would have got the phone call and be like, oh, I told you not to bring her, and then hung her up.
That's, you know what?
Let her go.
Family show. We can not T give your honorable mentions, man.
All right, am I the only one that hasn't gone yet? All right, I think, let me see, 2. I broke the rules a little bit myself. So I'm just I'll hurry past the ones that have already been mentioned. So Die Hard, Born Identity. I didn't have the same kind of rules as y'all. I tried not to include sci-fi and superhero type movies, but you know, I did break that rule in my top 5 as well. Anyway, so Die Hard, Robocop, you guys already talked about. Born Identity, I heard from Facebook. Commando, I think everybody's probably got that somewhere. Bruce Lee, that's my guy. The whole Bruce Lee franchise is on my honorable mention. 2 that I haven't heard yet on my honorable mention list. One is Bad Boys, like the Bad Boys series, and the other one is 300, because that was like, you know, back when that was out, if I wanted to sit and veg out and just watch some, would you say knife work, gun work, or knife work, arrow work in this case.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's my honorable mentions list right there.
All right. Since we're on time constraints, we'll go right to it. Number 5, Jason, what's your number 5?
Bad Boys, the first one.
Nice.
I didn't react when TJ just said it. But yeah, Bad Boys. Bad Boys 2 was dope too, but I'm gonna go with the original for my top 5.
Indeed.
Nice.
Antoine.
My number 5 is The Tomorrow War on Amazon. It was incredible action there. Human versus aliens. 50 years in the future, they go back, or 30 years in the future, they go back in time and try to warn them of the impending war, and then it's on. White spikes everywhere, people getting bodied everywhere. I mean, the dude went to the future and was reporting to his daughter, and it was great action. Listen, start to finish, Tomorrow War is great.
I enjoyed that movie.
That
you saw it? Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
You saw the soccer field scene where in the middle of the game and he popped through it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was a dude from Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah, Chris, whatever his name is, Chris Pratt. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Antoine, I salute you for being open-minded, because you be having a lot of recent movies on your list.
True.
My shit is like 20 years old most of it.
But look, when I did my top, so I had a top 25 last night, no lie, and I had trouble cutting it down, but most of them were movies from the 80s and 90s, and I was just like, let me go with something more recent, you know?
Yeah.
Just because, like, I love Predator, Enter the Dragon, all those are classics, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, my joint are VHS dusty. So,
All of mine too.
yeah, all mine are VHS dusty. TJ, yours from your number 5.
Oh, cool. I was going to ask if you mind if I go next. I'm going to kind of piggyback on what he did a little bit. Mine's a similar kind of movie. My number 5 is Starship Troopers.
Ooh.
Love the movie, you know, same thing, alien bug type stuff. It ain't recent, I wouldn't say that, but it sure is classic to me.
There's one that I want to mention, but I don't know if anyone else had it on their list, so I'm gonna shut up until like maybe after we're done, unless it comes up. If it comes up, then I'll mention it, because the Tomorrow War thing actually popped it back in my head. I'll go since I'm sitting here jabbering off. My 5 is Raid Redemption.
Nice.
If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. Raid Redemption. That joint is ridiculous.
Tell me a little bit about that real quick. What is that?
So Raid Redemption is basically I guess it's a foreign film. It takes place in like I think in like Indonesia or Malaysia, one of those, like Philippines, one of those Southeast Asian countries, and it's basically about this cop who, this like SWAT team that's going to raid this building that a drug dealer runs, and
Right.
One of the cops, they got double crossed, so they end up getting stuck in the building. They have to literally fight their way out of the building, and it is
Wow.
When I say fight their way out, I'm
They
talking
gotta fight.
they fight their way out. Like it is crazy. Like people are scrap. I mean, like you want to talk about scrapping? That I ain't seen scrapping on that level. I was like, yo, I think some of those people really got their bones broken.
And yeah,
No doubt about it. Like no doubt about it. Brock, what's your 5?
I got Total Recall.
Ooh.
Ooh, I like it.
I love Total Recall. Arnold at Arnold's finest. Arnold, you know what I'm saying? I think he punched Sharon Stone in the movie. I know he did because I just watched it. So yeah, there's a lot of gratuitous gun violence and aliens and shit. So I'm with it. Total Recall.
Yo, low key, real hot girl cast, man. Seen Sharon
Oh,
Stone.
yeah.
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 Talking about the alien with the 3 boobs. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That part.
The trifecta.
funny.
Exactly. I think Miles Davis was in it. Wasn't that Miles Davis? No.
Oh my!
No,
And you
guy with the alien in his stomach.
The name.
I'm like,
You just called Quado Miles Davis, my dude.
Oh, I can't.
Oh man, yeah.
Brock, how could you say that, man? You got 5 kids to feed. You sitting there talking to them.
I know, man. Yes, man, that was amazing.
That's a fan. That was high on my list. Man, I can't get into that. Go ahead.
And last thing, you know, one of the best parts of that movie is the human shield on the escalator. I mean, on the escalator. Now it looks so cheesy, but it was amazing back then. You know what I'm saying? It's clearly a fake body. You know what I mean? It was something. All the special effects in that movie look trash now, but it's still an amazing movie.
Do not want to derail the show, but of all the futuristic movies, they got a lot of stuff right. The whole going through the stuff, they got a lot of stuff right. Greg, you're the last one for 5, man.
Oh, my number 5 is the original Taken, Commando. The one with the less annoying daughter. So yeah,
The one with the less annoying daughter. That's how we're going. That's the hill you're gonna die on, huh?
And it's true. I couldn't stand that. I don't want to talk about Taken. Let's keep it focused on Flat Top Arnold. Now, I said it's like it is just straight up crazy, gratuitous violence that was most of which was just unnecessary, but one of the most quotable action movies of all times. You know what I'm saying? The only reason it's not high is because Ray Don Chong didn't get naked.
Throwback.
That's a fair point. Number 4. We'll go down the line. TJ, I'll go with you first. We'll go down the line.
All right, my number 4 is Hard Boiled. I don't know if you guys ever seen that. That's Chow Yun-Fat. You seen it, Jason?
Yeah.
Crazy, right? There was a lot of shooting going on there. There was a scene in, I think it was a tea house or something. And there was just people just getting capped off. Like, I don't even know how they managed to get that many blanks in one scene, you know, without, you know, stopping 100,000 times to reload. It was really something crazy. Like the bad guys, when they were trying to get out, just to tell you how gratuitous it was, they're running down the stairs and they're shooting random people to try to clear a path. That's how many people got capped off in this movie. It was just.
I didn't say excuse me, like.
And it's like pop, 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 pop. Move. Trying to get away, man.
You'd be like, or you could just say, "Pardon me."
The gunplay started and they started running and they just became part of the melee. But yeah, Chow Yun-Fat was a cop. He was after some pretty rough gangsters, and he had it out with them everywhere that he possibly could. He was crazy, man.
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah, you gotta check it out. It's subtitled, but
Chow Yun-fat, super underrated, man. The U.S. ruined his career for a minute. You go back and see his old actual Chinese joints, monster.
Yeah, this is one of them.
Yeah, monsters. He's a beast.
Oh, and going in order, I skipped myself, so I'll go next, and then Greg, you're gonna go. So my next one is the original, the OG John Wick. It's literally the latest movie that I have on my list, so I expect the rest of them to be VHS classics. But I mean, how could you not? How could you not? Like, John Wick was one of the movies where I was like contemplating whether I should go to the movies to see it, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna see it. Ended up, actually, Maurice, shout out to Maurice, saw it and was like, hey, yo, did you see John Wick? And I was like, no, I hadn't seen it yet. Ended up catching that joint on television one day, and I was like, damn, I really missed out on this one. So I haven't missed a John Wick in theaters since. Love the franchise. It's probably going to go down as the greatest franchise in action history, probably when it's all said and done, considering it's got a 4. But we'll see about that. But Keanu's back on the roll, man. I'm not going to do that. So Greg, it's your go.
All right. My number 4 is First Blood, the original Rambo joint. Yo, I'm telling you right now, they messed with the wrong white dude. They treated that white boy like a nigga, and he destroyed a town. Destroyed a town over being treated like a nigga. He's living here, and he was like, yeah. But the whole town was a wreck, dude. They should have let that white boy walk in the town.
He said he treated him like a nigga. He destroyed the whole town.
And he's
like
enough with it. Like, we don't take college and strangers around here, and he was just like, yo, I love not higher is because it's a little bit more dramatic than action, but still the action in it is super dope. So
that's a good one.
First Blood, great.
The blazing hot background takes is deserved. That was outstanding. Jason, you're number 4.
Right. I'm still laughing at that recap. So TJ just fucked me up, and I had to call the audible. Because my original number 4, we already talked about it, so I could easily just throw that away. Because my real number 4 is also Chow Yun-fat and John Woo, and it's The Killer. And that movie is amazing. It is amazing. Thank you, TJ.
You picked a good one.
The Killer is the shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also, all those little like gangster sound bites on Only Built for Cuban Links, like half of them came from The Killer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jason coming through with the fun facts today. There we go.
Carl Weathers Jr., man.
Carl Weathers is the uncle. Chow Yun-fat was that dude. Yo, check it out. Nah, he's the killer, yo.
Yeah, The Killer is my shit.
Twan, you're number 4.
Yes, indeed. That was a great pick, though, by Jason. That shit is underrated. But my number 4, I've seen this movie 7 times, about to make it an 8th. Another recent movie, Army of the Dead. So the amount of action in this movie is off the fucking charts, let me tell you. So they go in, it's like part heist movie, part zombie, part just a love story, a bunch of different shit going on at once. I love the zombified tiger. I love the dude that was double crossing everybody, getting fucked up in the end by the tiger. I love the gunplay in this movie because in most movies with a zombie, they have a moving slow. And I like that in this movie, the zombies have human emotions, so they're very smart and very tactical. And so it's literally an all-out war once they infringe on their territory, all in the name of money that they're never going to live to see. But, you know, I did love seeing the black dude make it out at the end as the lone survivor. And hopefully we'll see him in part 2. Yeah, right.
You think they're gonna have part 2? You think they're gonna have a sequel?
It's pretend they're talking about a sequel. They already shot the prequel, and now they're talking about the sequel.
Okay, that's dope. Okay.
Yeah.
Brock, man, close this out for our 4.
Going with I didn't have the same guidelines like no aliens and space creatures, so I got Predator.
Okay.
Part 1, you know what I'm saying, the OG Predator. It's dope how Arnold, you know, figured out how to crush a whole town and then kill the space intergalactic beast. with invisible powers, and he figured it all out with mud and a snap in a bit of a second. I don't know.
He
I
figured
don't
it
know what
out.
the time frame of that movie is. I don't know what the time frame. I don't know if it's a week, if it's months. I don't know, but Arnold is pretty fucking smart to figure all that out.
Yo, I think that
Exactly.
movie was like 2 days, yo.
2 days, and he figured it.
I mean,
You
it's
know
real,
what I'm saying?
it's real
Yeah.
short.
Amazing.
That shit out in the weekend.
Yeah. Like, what you do this weekend? Like, kill the monster and crush the whole town.
Right.
Kill the village.
Nothing major.
Nothing serious.
Talking about, he said, yeah, well, what did you do? I just got a triple double. I thought I had more time. So, okay, we're going back. Okay, number 3. We'll start. We're gonna go Goodman then not Goodman. So we'll go. Oh, you want to go? Go ahead, Twan.
Yeah, my number 3, everybody knows this movie. It's a classic, The Matrix, the original Matrix. I think it set the tone for action movies going forward. I think it got it right with the action, the messaging. It's something that's still being talked about to this day. I don't need to dig into the movie. It's just one of the most incredible movies ever made, The Matrix, the original.
Can't argue with that. TJ,
Let me go because my number 3
go
has
ahead.
already been mentioned and discussed. My number 3 is John Wick.
Oh, you have anything else to add?
I mean, it's John Wick. One thing I was going to add is that movie probably has the most like headshots of any action movie ever.
Easily.
Like, John Wick was out of control.
Oh, well, let me just go ahead and get mine out the way too. My number 3 is John Wick.
Oh, okay.
I'll be honest with you.
Nice.
The dopest thing about John Wick, I mean, real talk, you go back and look at the training that Keanu Reeves did for John Wick. Keanu Reeves is a problem, yo. Like, you don't, he's a real life problem. Like, you don't want to mess with that dude on the street. But John Wick, I mean, how could you not? It's throwback violence.
Yeah,
Like, it's old school violence. I love it, man.
yeah.
I'm a
Yeah,
guy.
like I said, he did that shit for real. Like he learned how to do all that shit
Yes.
in real life, and you could tell in the movie.
And he did a lot of his stunts. He didn't do
Yeah.
all the wrong thing, but he did a lot of them.
And John Wick had hands too. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't just shooting; he had hands.
Yeah. You gotta do it with his pencil. I mean, what do you
Yeah.
pencil? Who does that? Anyway, so
I said the only reason that I got John Wick a little bit higher is because I just don't like the way the story developed in the very beginning. It's just like, really, of all the people that he's gonna mess with at a gas station randomly, and they probably could have done something a little more than that. You know what I'm saying? A little deeper than that. But it was just that's my literally only knock against the entire movie. Everything else is perfect.
Unless he knew him because of his father, and he was trying to like mess with him anyway.
Nah, he acted like he didn't know who he was at all. They had to tell him.
Now, I know, but I'm saying like that's how I kind of.
The face.
No, I kind of made that part work because you're right. Like it was random. Like of all the
Yeah.
people in this city, it's the one dude that will destroy everything.
Yeah,
But
that
I just
already
feel like
knows everybody
maybe
else that he knows.
Maybe their
Boogeyman.
paths crossed and he was just trying to prove he was tough or something. He was just fucking with John Wick just because. I don't know. But you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
it was
that's my only knock against the whole movie. Everything else, amazing.
he caught a bad case of the wrong ones on that one.
Yeah.
That's the worst case of the wrong ones on that.
Sure is.
That's what a disastrous decision. TJ, you're number 3.
Yeah, well, serendipitously, my number 3 is also Baba Yaga.
Oh
John
my gosh.
So there ain't really much to add to it, but I will say this: you guys are talking about him, learning that stuff for real. I give you some evidence, right? If you go back and watch the movie, the moves that he's really good at, he always figures out a way to get that move in, which tells you that he is an actual like martial artist. Like he knows what he's doing, right? He figures out how to get to a place where he can execute the move that he's really good at. So when I watched that in the movie, I was like, okay, well, Keanu Reeves, that guy's for real, man. Messing around.
Problem.
He's
So
not the
you-
GOAT for no reason. Like, I mean, just let's
Bad
just,
man.
let's just call
Yeah.
it what it is. Okay, let me not derail the show. So
Yeah, don't do it, Al.
Brock, man, go ahead, man. You give me
Mine was mentioned already as well. The angry white man that got locked up and decided to crush the whole town. Rambo First Blood. I couldn't leave that off. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like one of the one Rambo's where it's not as intentionally political. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not fighting all of America's enemies in this movie, unless you talk about the police. But later down the line, he's fighting like the Russians and the everybody that Americans ever traditionally had problem with. So Rambo first blood.
If I can change, then you can change.
Yo, Rambo was like a 90s video game. Like when you gotta go fight the town, like every time this America has an enemy, that's who you gotta fight, and the harder the level is, the bigger the enemy of America. That's basically the Rambo franchise was.
I think Rambo was literally he was player 2 on Contra, right?
No, I think
That's a ridiculous thing. I'll apologize. So I'll go ahead and I'll give my I'm the last one for 3, so let me go ahead. So I had to go with one that was probably number 1 on my list. And list ebb and flow, especially in this genre, but it was number 1 at some times. It would touch number 1 for sure, and that's Die Hard. And what I loved about Die Hard was that, I mean, no movie is realistic, so to speak. But of all of the movies that are action movies, the way that the hero acts in this movie is realistic. He's not trying to kill everybody. He's just trying to kill enough people. You know what I mean? He's just trying to get away. He's trying to call other people to get in there. The reason why this movie is so high on my list is because of the way he interacts with the cops themselves. I think that's fantastic. When he's like, he talks to the lady from 911, and he's like, yeah, this line is reserved for emergency. He's like, no shit, lady, you think I'm ordering a pizza? I mean, I just love it. So that's dope. Before we get into our top 2, what we do in that position, let's go ahead and go to our sponsor, which is Soul Glow. So you know what we do in this position? We usually shout out some Black-owned businesses. Today, I'm going to shout out, I don't know, Herbs Day. I don't know if we know anybody who knows anything about Herbs Day. Does anybody know anything about Herbs Day on this?
Shout out to me. I like to thank me, man.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just shout out to my man Broccoli Balboa. He does Herbs Day. You guys can go check it out. Yo, tell them where they can find it at, man. Maybe you can slide in.
YouTube.com/Herbs Day. You know what I'm saying? I make a video every Tuesday and Thursday. This last week was I don't even know what the hell I did. Oh yeah, we're on No Gas Station Dick Pills, trying to help y'all guys out and stop killing your man parts. You know what I'm saying? With these horrible gas station dick pills. Give you alternatives.
I saw it on Instagram. That's why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do Herbs Day now. So yeah, go ahead, man. You go ahead and give another shout out either to yourself or to whoever else.
Oh, I don't have anything else. I'm literally planning on doing that. But matter of fact, I'll do what you just did. I'll pass the baton to Ninja. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful clothing company. You know what I'm saying? They also produce this wonderful comic book called Jericho Cutter. Yeah, y'all should check that out.
I never heard of this. I'm writing it down.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I heard it was trash, but once you get it, once you look at it for a while, you'll get used to it, and you'll start to love it, Algie. But you should check it out, man.
I'll see about it. I don't know. It sounds.
Nah, but thank you for that.
To me, but I'll go ahead and
shout out.
I'll look for it.
iDance Media, Jericho Cutter. You got Jericho Cutter Part 2 coming very soon. I've been saying that for a while, but it's still coming soon. It takes some time to get it right. We are very meticulous, and we both have OCD, me and my artist, but we got to get it right. So just be on the lookout. Thanks for your patience, anybody who's waiting.
Don't Dr. Dre this, Jason.
No, this is not. This is not
like a 90s rap video. You know what I'm saying?
It's more like Nas than Dr. Dre. Like, you know how Nas will like disappear for a while, and then it'd be like, oh shit, Nas dropped a new album.
Yeah.
We're more like that than Dr. Dre. We're not going to
He killed me with that yesterday. Like, I saw, like, Spotify was like, hey, King's Disease 2 is out. I was like, it is?
Right.
And Kanye is not out. He just floated through the ceiling and never dropped an album. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you've seen the video.
Playing around. I think this is just like an extensive troll of a concert.
Yo, he ran into the stadium to cut people hair.
Album is coming. Nothing.
There's no album. He's been talking about this album for like 4 years. There's
no time. Greg, what is your Black-owned business?
I don't know, but I'm still amazed by the fact that Kanye West has lost all of his goddamn mind. Like, Nigga, I seen this nigga dressed like a Furby in the stands the other day. It was just weird. This nigga, I don't know what's wrong with him. He really needs help. He really needs help. But
Performance art.
is it? Is it?
I think that's what it is
So
versus
walking around
the actual
dressed like
album.
that,
I don't think there's any
Star?
music.
Look, man,
Wow.
this nigga's sleeping in drawers and the stocking over his face, nigga. What is going on with this man? He
On
needs
an air
help.
mattress.
On the air mattress. Yeah. He's a
Oh, Lord.
homeless billionaire. Like, I've never seen anything like this, B. Never in my life. I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know what's going on. But
Hey, it's a family show. Family show, man. Just get to the ad, man. Just get to the ad. You're derailing the show.
I'm just giving a shout out to Black Advancement, man. Black Advancement, you know, a staple in the Black community.
Staple remover. I don't know. Antoine.
Same thing today. I'm gonna give a shout out to Black Advancement, Odd Ninja, and Herbs Day. All Black businesses doing their thing. Support them all. Absolutely.
That's right. That's right. And TJ, last one.
Nice. All great shout outs. Recently I had to start going to work in the city once a week or so down in Washington, D.C. So I figured I'd check and see what they got going on there as far as, trying to help out the community. And I saw one, it was called, was it Life Pieces to Masterpieces, apparently? So I'll just read their mission statement. They say, our mission, Life Pieces to Masterpieces, uses artistic expression to develop character and leadership, unlock potential, and prepare African-American boys and young men to transform their lives and communities. Our vision is that our boys and young men will become catalysts for positive change in the world. So that they got after school programs and stuff like that. I think a lot of what they do is through art and music and things like that, giving kids a positive outlet and giving them a positive, view of themselves and their situation. So I just wanted to see what was out there. It looks pretty cool. It looks like they've been around for maybe about a quarter century or something like that. So shout out to them.
Yo, shout out. What's their name again?
Life Pieces to Masterpieces.
Indeed. Oh, so you guys know what we do. It's the top two where it gets real. And in this situation, I know it was real, especially with the way people are talking. So who would like to go first with their number two?
I'll go first.
Oh, never mind. Go ahead, T.
Because mine's already been mentioned. But actually, by you, Aj, you did a very good job of laying out the storyline and everything for Raid Redemption.
Oh, Raid.
But I'll tell you guys, my first time watching that, my mind was totally blown. I mean, I'm a martial arts nut. I love martial arts movies in close action. That's why The Bourne Identity was on my honorable mentions. That's why, John Wick is way up high on my list. I just really enjoyed it, especially the close quarter combat, knives, sticks, bare hands. And this movie, even though they had some gunplay going on, a lot of it was real up close and personal, man. Because they were in an apartment building, and these guys have machetes and knives, hand-to-hand combat. I mean, they even used like a door jam to kill one guy when he pulled his head down in there. It was just nonstop. And it was, eye-popping kind of action, like the kind of martial arts that they were doing, the kind of moves you don't see in conventional movies here in the U.S. most of the time. It's like a combination of a bunch of different arts. I can't remember the name of the main character, but yeah, he's fast, he's brutal. I really enjoyed it.
That's a good one. So Brock, man, go ahead, you go.
I got as my number two, I got Terminator 2. I love T2, you know what I'm saying? The scene where he's running and you're like, goddamn, how fast is this man? This thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was real intense, you know what I mean? And also the ultimate clash of the two, alien monsters, whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty dope though. As you can see, like most of my list has Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I was another unhealthy obsession with action star at that point in time in my life. So Terminator 2.
Arnold had a run in the 80s/90s that is almost unrivaled. I mean, that joint is
Yeah.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
Running Man, I had to consider Running Man when I was making my list initially.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've
Good.
seen Running Man recently, but it's worth a watch.
Yo, that's what messed me up about this list. By me imposing this no sci-fi mandate on myself, because I think my list would have been identical to Broccoli's list if I didn't do that. You know? What we call Terminator, like shit is classic, man.
So, I mean, since you running your mouth, why don't you go ahead and give us your number?
All right, so my number 2. This is probably the first time ever that I got this far with nobody mentioning my movie even once. That could be a good thing or a bad thing, but my number 2 is Heat. That shit is, I mean, it's drama and action, and one of the criteria that I made was either has to have like machine guns or explosions or some kind of shootout or car chase. So Heat had like 2 out of 3. Well, actually, it may have had 3 out of the 4 of those things. But that scene, that shootout in the streets after they robbed the bank, they had like the biggest guns I'd ever seen, like in that type of movie. When they were shooting, even the cop Pacino pulled out that big ass machine gun. It was just, that movie was dope, like on all levels, like the characters, the storytelling. Obviously it was cool because you saw Pacino and De Niro together, even though they never shared the screen at the same time. But yeah, that movie is just, it's incredible. It's incredible.
That's a great pick.
And shout out to the legend Danny Trejo, who is like one of the on the low action movie icons.
Hey,
that makes an appearance in that movie too.
that's also a fair shout out. That's also a fair shout out. Greg, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the greatest buddy cop film of all times, Lethal Weapon. The original, before they tried to get cute and funny. Back when someone had a real mental problem, it was trying to basically just put his life on the line for shits and gigs. That old black man reel him back in and show him love. It's just, but the whole movie is just I would have to say it's a perfect buddy cop movie, and I had to fall back for a second because I felt like it may have been more drama than actual action. But even with that, I mean, the fight scene at the end with Martin Riggs, they still had Gary Busey before he lost his marbles. I mean, it was just a real good movie, a classic 80s joint. But in my opinion, the greatest buddy cop film of all time.
Anytime someone throws in lost his marbles, it's something that's a great description. So my number 2, and Antoine's gonna get back clean up on this one. But my number 2 is Robocop. It's not even so much for Robocop himself, who is a dope character. You know, there will be trouble. You know, it wasn't just that. The fact that he could do the gun was inside of him and he could take it out his leg and all that stuff. And it was the movie in terms of the way that they don't make movies like this anymore, where they have like the fake news and fake commercials. And they have like a little world built inside of the movie already, and you're like just thrown into it in a theater or on the TV or something. And I love that about it. It had like the game Nukem. It had like, you know, old Detroit, new Detroit. It had like a bunch of stuff, and it had one of the greatest villains of all time, Clarence, which is a hilarious name for a villain in the first place. But Clarence was out of control. You must be some kind of great cop, because I'm really like, listen. And not only that, but it had one of the greatest like, I guess like flash up characters ever. I'll buy that for $1. I mean, like Robocop
for $1.
It is just like one of the illest movies ever.
Hey, and that scene where Robocop actually gets hit up is one of the most brutal things.
Oh yeah,
like they pulled out a rocket launcher close range and shot this man.
Yo, they shot the shit out of him
from Grand Theft Auto, close range. and he got out and became a robot.
And then my man was trying to replace him, and he shot up an executive in the meeting. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's just
Oh, during the demo of the new
Oh,
joint.
yeah.
209.
Carrying out the board meeting.
Imagine getting dressed up, having a suit on, going all the way up to the 55th floor to go to a meeting and watching your co-partner die in a meeting. And you'd say, it's just a glitch.
They didn't even offer you the robot package. They just let you die.
Right.
They unplugged it and was like, yo, my bad. It's like, my bad? What you mean? How do you recover as a company? Like, that's my thing. How do you recover?
Yo, and the funny part about that, the only thing that the CEO had to say at the top was like, Dick, I'm very disappointed. Like he wasn't worried about calling this dude's family or nothing else. He was like, you know how much money you've cost us. Every Dick, get it together.
That movie single-handedly made Detroit population, like, people start leaving Detroit because like, there's no way you could. It's like, yo, if death is that common where people just be like, yo, I'm very disappointed in you. You're like, yo, I shouldn't live here anymore. Shout out to you. Oh, always love. Yo, Antoine, man, it's you're number 2.
So I'm still laughing off of that. My number 2, Spiderman, Enter the Spiderverse. So it's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. I actually loved every action movie out there, but this one was different. I like the layering, the storytelling. I like the fact that he finds out that his uncle is the Prowler, who's also trying to kill him in the beginning of the movie. That when it's revealed and, you know, they kind of know who each other is, Kingpin kills his uncle because his uncle didn't want to kill him. Now, his father, who's the cop, thinks that Miles Morales, who's the new Spider-Man, has killed his uncle. It's just a wild chain of events across the multiverse. One of my favorite scenes is when he finally steps into his power and realizes, you know what, he has what it takes. And from there, his web slinging becomes top notch. And you know what, he gets into it and takes on the Kingpin and the whole multiverse to stop the world from ending. And shit, it's a great movie. It's a lot of action and I recommend it. It's a family-friendly movie too, to a degree. So yeah. Actually, you know what? Fuck it, it is all the way across the board. Yeah.
Yo, that's literally the greatest animated movie I think I've ever seen. Like it toppled. This might sound a little corny. It toppled Lion King. Like, Lion King was that.
Oh yeah.
Spiderverse was just blew me away. That's unbelievable.
Yes, sir.
So here it is. We've come to it. One of the more controversial topics we've ever taken on. this HollyHood Zoomcast. And now we're at our number 1s. Who would like to go first, sucker?
I'll go first.
Man.
Go ahead, Jason.
Again, I made it all the way to number 1 and nobody mentioned my movie.
Is that a first?
It's the first.
Okay.
The Professional.
Nice.
Masterpiece all the way around. The movie is incredible. You got so many elements. You got the I don't know if it's like a buddy, but whenever, not a buddy movie, but like when you got an adult taking care of like a random child and protecting them. You got ridiculous action scenes, a dope villain. That the part that always stands out was when they're in the building, and Gary Oldman, I forgot his name in the movie, but he was like, he went down to one of the cops, like some shit just went wrong. They tried to get Leon, and he said to one of his people, he's like, bring me everyone. And dude was like, what? This nigga said, everyone. It was like 300 cops at the building. Shit, but one dude. Oh man, I love it. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, complete and utter masterpiece.
So
who's next?
All right. I go next.
Oh, good.
No, you want to go? Go ahead.
Oh, all right. So I reserved my last movie for knife play. You know what I'm saying? Well, sword play. You know what I'm saying? Pause. I got.
It's a family show, man.
That's why I paused it. You know what I'm saying? Gotta be careful out there. Gladiator is my number 1 movie. Nice. I love, you know what I'm saying? I always love movies like that with like people dying from swords and goddamn fought a what did he fight, like a tiger or something?
Yeah.
Chariots. Joaquin Phoenix is in there, and he's one of the most amazing little Caesars villains ever. My man was a slave, you know what I'm saying? Fought his way to freedom, you know what I mean? Kicked ass, you know. Russell Crowe. This is one acceptable Russell Crowe movie for me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I heard about how he get down, so, you know, this is before we knew that he was like racist and stuff. But yes, this Gladiator, man, Gladiator.
Big facts, big facts. I like that. I second that. I'm gonna jump into my number one. So my number one, I think, is probably for me, it's the greatest action movie I've ever seen. John Wick 3. So I love John Wick 3, all the action in it, gunplay, close quarters combat, it has it all. And I love the whole concept that he's been excommunicated, and you know what? There's a $14 million bounty on his head. And literally from the hotel fight scene where he discovers, you know what? His pistol's not doing it because they got body armor and having to execute him up close and personal, to the library scene where I think it's the ball player, Boban, the tall ass is up in that, and like all the things that he does to him with the book, you know what I'm saying? And how he ends up killing him, it was just amazing. It's something that, you know, some of it is throwback. And again, like everybody else, he's the real deal. I wouldn't want to piss him off. So watching this shit, it's a great action movie. It's a great movie overall. And I look forward to part 4. I think at the end, he's angry. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting turn of events. But John Wick 3, check it out if you haven't seen it. Absolutely. Every fight scene, the one where he's fighting like the little twin assassin dudes and they're fucking shit up, and then at the end, they don't quite kill each other. It's just like a respect, I'll see you down the road type of thing. I like that.
Yeah, it's similar with Common in the second one too. That was dope. Similar scene.
Yeah.
Caskets.
Yes.
Yeah, Caskets. TJ.
I'm up. Now, unlike everyone else, I don't think I'd recommend this movie for most people to look at. It is an action movie. I've never seen a movie quite like it. I'm just gonna be straight up with y'all. I don't even really remember the plot. I know that it's based on like a video game or something, but it's like a first-person shooter type video game. So the whole movie is shot from this person's like you're in their body.
I know what you're talking about.
Mauling everybody, right?
Yeah.
Hardcore Henry.
I gave that joint to you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So far it was you then, yeah.
Yeah.
Hardcore Henry is the name of the movie.
Yeah.
I remember.
I
remember that.
Blitzkrieging people, man. It was just awful. I mean, I don't think he was like a parkour guy, but he had a lot of crazy just stuff. But because it's first person, you know, he's slashing throats and shooting people in the face and all this kind of stuff. And it's all like, it looks like you're doing it. So as far as action goes, I had never seen an action movie like that. So it made number one because its originality, number one. Number two, there was a whole lot of that going on because it was based on like a first person shooter game. So on those games, it's not like you got a whole lot of, I mean, they may have like scenes where you're reading a little something or there's a little bit of interaction between you and your boss or something. But right after that, it's time to get down to business again for the next 30 minutes. So that's how the movie was. So if you're, it's not for the faint of heart. If you can't take that kind of stuff, don't look at it. But if you like it, I think it might be for you.
I'm gonna go ahead and go next because we all know Greg's the closer. So but my movie has been mentioned several times, but the reasons for its mentioning I felt like were good, but I'm gonna give mine. My number one movie is The Predator. And the reason why my number one movie is The Predator is because that is the manliest shit that has ever existed on film. And first of all, there was like 3 governors in that joint. That's the first thing. That's just like 3 governors in it. All right.
Oh yeah.
Bill Duke literally mows down an entire jungle. Like it's got the crazy indigenous dude Billy out there slicing his chest for the thing to come get him. It's got terrible jokes that are hilarious in the beginning. It's got the greatest handshake perhaps ever caught on film. Dylan, you son of a bitch. And it's got all this thing. Carl Weathers is in the movie. I mean, like, what else? Arnold Schwarzenegger's in the movie. Like,
That's
I mean,
nothing
seriously,
else.
anybody who was anybody. First of all, I would have loved to see. I bet the set was probably just as good as the movie. The way these guys interacted with each other outside of the actual. I mean, it was just fantastic. I mean, that's the manliest thing I've ever seen. Like that. I had hair on my chest after watching that movie. Unbelievable. Like, and then to quote Broccoli, for him to figure it out with the mud. Just throw mud on himself. Mud all over himself. I mean, it's just, oh man, Predator, man. That's get to the chopper. Get to the go. Get to the chopper. Give me the weapon. Yeah, I mean, like, tell me, what is it?
That's not what she said.
Yeah, my favorite line, Carl Weathers, bullshit, man. That's not what she said. He don't speak. You don't know what he said. He's saying that. Like, okay. But anyway, Predator, it's the manliest shit ever. Action movies. I mean, you can't get more manly than that. Predator is my number one. Greg, close us out.
Well, look, man, I'm gonna go with what is. It's the first thing that I thought of when everyone says action movie, and that's Die Hard. All right, this is 100% white man fantasy. It's a regular cop guy who saves the day, who does all kinds of amazing stuff. Not to mention, the reason why it's number one, there's also a side story that no one else really focuses on, and that is, it's the understory of Carl Winslow from Family Matters. Nobody ever catches that, but that's on another note. That's a movie that needs to be made.
Explain it.
What, the origin story of Carl Winslow?
Yes.
That's Carl Winslow in there.
Yeah. That's it.
He shot a kid, and then he helped out this dude. He did a great job, and he got transferred to Chicago. They gave him a promotion. You know, his wife was pregnant with what was the blockhead boy like Bobby Brown's son?
Eddie Winslow.
Eddie, yeah.
Eddie Winslow.
Yeah, and then it just goes from there, man. It's the foundation of Family Matters. But that's not even the reason why it's the dopest movie ever. The dopest action movie ever. Basically, like I said, Bruce Willis, it is what you would typically think of when you talk about action movies. It's just what is essentially a regular guy. There's nothing special about him. He's just a regular cop. He's there when he's not supposed to be there, and he saves the entire day. I forget what the guys were, German terrorists, or I think they were German terrorists, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber.
yeah. But anyway, it's just, it is the typical fantasy. It's a typical man fantasy kind of thing for action movies. That is the blueprint for it. Just a regular guy doing extraordinary things and saving the whole day.
I shot a kid.
Yeah, I shot. Yeah, plus Carl shoots a kid.
Think about that in today's lens. That whole time, you'd be like, "Oh, this guy's still on the force, yo? He's still in the league."
He's in the league. He got promoted.
Oh.
It was the 80s, man. You can shoot a kid and everything be fine.
And that's our show. We like to thank everybody for tuning in. There's always 3 things you can take from the HollyHood Zoomcast. Number 1, don't ever get a white guy mad at the cops because they're going down the whole town. Number 2, don't do a show in a stocking mask and draws in a stadium and then not do the album. That's something you should not do. That's something that we don't recommend over here at HollyHood. And number 3, and probably the biggest thing you should have taken from this whole thing is don't mess with Keanu Reeves in real life. I mean, just don't do it. And that's our show, Jerks. And if you can't do any of those things, remember, it's always work at the post office. Peace.